the Lately in PHP podcasting out. This is episode 82, and finally I managed to struggle with the recording, but we are finally live. And as always, I have here with me Arthur Sosims with his eternal patience, and we are finally starting this. Hello, Arthur. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm actually having fun watching you trying to achieve something here.
Every month is the same the same challenges. Google changing buttons from places so you get lost. But anyway, you are here to talk about PHP, and we are going to start precisely just with an overview of the topic that we have today. So we can quickly mention about them for a few minutes for those that are in a rush and don't want to watch us talking for an hour. Let me just share the screen here, if I can. Okay, can you see the screen?
I can see compartivarteva, but yes.
Yeah, okay. So we are going to start precisely with the latest PHP versions, starting precisely by PHP 7.0, that's .17, which has a bunch of bugs being fixed. Nothing really unusual, except maybe for this one. This bug here that mentions incomplete post does not time out, but is passed to PHP. This means that before this bug was fixed, PHP was not handling, for instance, when maybe the request was aborted, but the server did not realize that probably the user canceled the request, or there was a disconnection in the user network, probably during an upload, because this is for the post requests. And even after an eventual timeout period, PHP was getting the request as if the request actually completed. So this may be an interesting thing that was handled. I guess there's nothing for you to change in your code. This is
well,
just
now you need to anticipate incomplete post requests. Like, I don't know, file not uploaded fully. Maybe I really don't know how they are handling it internally.
I think this means that if the post failed, it will not be passed to PHP after timeout. That's what I assume. I did not.
So it's okay, makes sense.
Yeah. Well, anyway, this is just one thing, and another thing is the more or less the same bugs were fixed on PHP 7.1. The next thing that we are going to comment is proposing a new cache key for streams operation. This means that PHP will be able to handle code that is probably being loaded from a far archive, and if the code is being loaded multiple times, the caching mechanism for the opcode cache will already be able to figure that it is the same far archive that is being loaded. Next, we are going to talk about isString, which is a proposal for having a sort of validation for converting serialized objects into new objects. So the isString would be a function that would allow to validate if a string really has a valid object of a certain class. Next, we have a discussion about type variants, like for instance, a class that receives a parameter of name of type rectangle. It would also be able to accept square as a variant of rectangle, because it would have a function named match that would just confirm that it would be really a square, but it would still be a rectangle. Next, we have a proposal here to have a variant of the range function that will act like a generator. Generator are those things that are a bit abstract to explain, but basically they return sequences of values that would allow you to treat those sequences as if they were arrays being iterated. Okay, we'll get back to this to explain it better during this podcast. But next, we are going to talk about the proposal of named parameters that somehow got on hold like a few years ago, having named parameters for functions, somehow similar to the Python language. Next, we are going to talk about a proposal, actually a discussion, because probably this is not going through, but it is to not needing to have a semicolon as to end commands, more or less like JavaScript. It would treat end of lines of eventual end of command separator. Next, we're going to talk about the plans for releasing PHP 7.2 because the PHP 7.2 alpha is scheduled to happen around June. So they are already preparing to elect the people that will take care of this release, because we are getting close. We are already only 2 months away of that date. Next, we are talking about a discussion about directory separators in paths of files and directories on Windows, because Windows also accepts the forward slash like in Linux. There is a discussion about this topic to handle it better. Finally, we'll have just comment on a couple of articles published on PHP Classes site blog. One about using data mining and business intelligence methods to improve the visibility of PHP packages, PHP articles, projects in general, using basically search engine optimization techniques based on data mining and business intelligence to improve the visibility of these pages on Google, for instance. Finally, we just talk briefly about an article that will explain about OpenID Connect and the way to implement it with OAuth 2 client. But it would also help to implement those so-called social login functionality that is in many sites that allow you to log in a site without having to actually create an account, going through the whole process to register, just benefiting from accounts that you have, for instance, Facebook or Google or something else. So now, starting the actual podcast, let's get back to the first topic, which is the usual updates on PHP 7.1 and 7.0. I have basically already mentioned that there is the usual set of bug fixes. Probably some are about security. I'm not sure which ones would be. Usually there's some recommendation, but I don't see any case of this. So other than that, the only thing that we noticed is that there is this bug fix here for handling incomplete posts. Probably this is for when somebody is uploading a file and for some reason it disconnects. Times it would time out, but PHP is not realizing that the connection timed out, and it still passed the request for PHP to handle.
Yeah, I read the ticket a little more, and it was passing basically an empty array in that case.
And well, I'm going to get back here because somebody was distracting me. And well, basically about the versions, there is not much more to say. I don't, as we mentioned, everything. Another topic that we are going to mention, this is not very trivial. Well, this month we have a lot of topics that are not very trivial to understand. They are mostly discussions. They are not even complete feature proposals that were accepted. And one of them, which is already a pull request, is to implement a new cache key mechanism to in streams. And streams are like means to read and write from files or containers that act like files. And in this case, it is concerned with opcode cache, like for instance, when PHP code is being read from far archives. So as you may know, far archives contain lots of PHP, can contain lots of PHP files. And the PHP engine needs to read the contents of those files that are inside the far archive. But if the container, the far archive has already been read, it can avoid parsing the code again and use the opcode cache. Actually, not even need to use the opcode cache because the stream was already parsed before, probably in the previous request. So the idea here is to improve a better cache key to determine that. I think that is the case. I'm not sure about the internals. Arthur, did you somehow interpret this?
Yeah, I think what you're explaining basically right. And just wanted to mention that the guy implemented the mechanism to do that, but did not really make the changes in the opcache code itself because, as he says, it's rather complex and wants someone to help him with it. And I think basically the discussion ends on that he should start doing an RFC for this one, and then they could talk over the changes in the opcache code and stuff like that.
Yeah. This month there were several discussions, proposals, but not exactly something concrete in terms of RFCs. Yeah. Mostly discussions. Some very weird ones that are even hard to understand. So it's possible that we are misunderstanding things here. And well, we try to do our best because some topics are very low level. Only people that know very well the internals can probably clarify what is this about. Anyway, moving on to the next topic. I think this is an interesting one and also a weird one, well, like the other, which is the proposal to have a hisString function for classes. Like there is the toString that you can call and return a string that represents the object being serialized. This string would do the opposite, like to take a string with a serialized object and would actually confirm that it is valid without unserializing it.
I think actually isString already exists and validates if variable isString, but the implementation is for toString specifically, a magic method. And the main confusion in this topic is between two approaches. One would be to understand if value is type of string, or other approach is value can be cast to string. And so I think that's the main confusion here, and that's the difference between the strict mode that he talks about, strict mode 0, strict mode 1, how to interpret this in each situation.
Yeah.
So if object could be interpreted as a string, then it should implement toString method, which he author, as he said, has a pull request for implementing it in PHP. And if it does, then I guess object should pass validation is string or something like that.
Yeah, well, I confess that I did not quite understand what this meant, but well, I tried to interpret it as I thought it was, but you already corrected me because since I never used this string function, I was not even remember that it exists. But basically, this is still a discussion going on. Will this go forward? I don't know. I start looking at the topic, but there are quite a few messages, like 46 in this discussion.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe when there is a specific RFC, there will be a separate thread, so we can follow it.
They are mostly discussing if now we provide a magic method to convert objects to strings, so they would validate by isString. Shouldn't integers be also validated as string, because they can easily be cast to strings too?
Yeah.
Some say yes, others say no, and it's a really long discussion.
Yeah, it's a never-ending story, and people, as always, have plenty of time for this. Okay, well, we have to wait and see. I suspect we'll get back to this like next month, or probably
never.
in 3 years, like the name parameters that we are going to talk about. So the next topic we're talking here is type variants. And I'm still also not sure if I got this right, but if I understood this, whatever is the type matching thing that is being used, it would allow to accept, for instance, objects of class square as variants of rectangle. So wherever you accept rectangle, it will also accept square. And it would have a function named match __ match, just to confirm that the object would be a valid square, because not every rectangle is a square. And I guess this would be an additional validation.
Yeah.
Because variant would say wherever a rectangle is accepted, it would also accept square. But to be a square, there would be a function that would test if the width and the height are the same in this case.
Yeah. So basically, as author proposes, we create an instance of a rectangle, and then if we pass it to the method that expects square and try to cast it to square, it should run the match magic method. And if it passes the validation, that it should be convertible to square, and if it doesn't pass the validation, then it should not be convertible to square, something like this. But I think that's a really complex construction to the problem that he's having, and I don't know if we need such.
I think this is more than one thing. and is mixing the things in the same proposal.
For me, it feels like you want to introduce some kind of business logic into object-oriented programming or something like that.
Yeah, well, for now, this is what we have about this discussion. And
yeah, so
we
like type of validation should check some business logic if this type should really be converted to another type. So that's why I'm kind of maybe against it, but that's only my opinion.
Yeah, personally, I feel that the language is becoming so bloated with minor things that probably
Exactly.
just 3 people will use, that I wonder if this is really necessary. But okay, I don't know where this came from. I don't know if there is some other language that implements this way and they want to have it in PHP, or it is something that somebody really has a need for it. Well, anyway, moving on to the next topic. Here we are talking about a proposal to have a generator that would somehow act like the range function. The range function will return a sort of, well, I think it returns an array. I never use this. That's why I say I think between with values between a minimum and a maximum.
Yeah.
And then you could iterate. So instead of returning an array, it's suggesting to have a generator function that probably would work like this. We return a sequence of numbers between the start and the end using a step parameter, and then it would yield each of those numbers. Which means every time this function is iterated, it would return the next number in the sequence. What I think is that if the guy already defined this function, why PHP doesn't need to have it built in?
Exactly. So for me, it looks like I like how range looks better than a normal if loop. So let's make, but range returns an array. So if there are lots of items, it would be really slow. So let's make range return a generator, so it would work faster. Maybe, I don't know if it would work faster, and then it would look better and it would work faster. But yes, it's a backwards compatibility breaking change, and it can be defined in like 3 or 5 lines. So there's really no place to adding something like this, I think. And as you usually like to emphasize it, then I think one of the mentions later in discussion is that, but Python has any structure like loop or stuff like that. Where basically in Python, where you can use iterators, you can also use generators and stuff like that. And that the core is very well thought through and in Python, and that's why they can do that. So we should do something similar in PHP.
Yeah, and well, we are here just giving our opinions. It doesn't matter what our opinions are, because it's not to us to decide. Anyway, because sometimes we talk about things and people will get upset and going to complain somewhere else. And the point here is that we are also trying to think like the other people that are in the internals.
Like developers who would use PHP and would use or not use this feature.
And probably all those people that are here are the ones to decide. We are even talking about this 1 month after. So whatever we can say about this will hardly influence the decision of them. So there's no need for
I really wish it could influence, but it's hard to
No,
influence.
if you want to influence, you just go there, participate in the discussions, participate in the votes. But we are not doing that. We're just here commenting these features. So if somebody listens to this is getting upset because we have probably different opinions, just don't bother. We don't have that influence in the world, I think. Anyway, we are just, well, telling that, at least in my opinion, just like you said, if you want this, you can put this in your code. There is no absolute need to bloat the language further. I don't know if there is a benefit of changing the range operator to do this somehow. Operator know the function. And it would probably not even make it faster. The reason why people use generators is because you don't have to pre-generate an array and take memory to store that array there while you are iterating. You can just get one element at a time, and it will not take any memory, unlike like you generate the arrays. So, well, I think that I understand the proposal, but I think it's one of those things that are not really necessary to have built in PHP. But you know, people just want to have new things, and to make it worse, if they implement it in the newer versions, people with running older versions cannot benefit from those. So it's like you still have to have some fallback code in case you are not running the version that, or not, I don't know. Maybe in the future everybody's using PHP 8.5 that already has this feature. Okay, anyway, moving on, the next topic is again the coming back of the discussion of the name parameters that was proposed. Let me see exactly when it is proposed. It was like, if the page opens, oh, it's almost 4 years. September 2013. So the idea to have name parameters, I guess it is to make it more or less like Python, that you can have parameters for the functions and you specify the names of those parameters, so you can even omit an arbitrary number of parameters and it will take only those that you specify with a name in the command line. I mean the
Function.
The calling code. For some reason it is very slow here. It is not loading again. I just loaded that page and it is not willing to load again.
Yeah, so the first
is more like this. No, this
like
one.
array.
It's like array, but is integrated in the function call. I remember that one thing that they mentioned. Oh, if you can do this, why don't you just pass array and deal with it inside the function?
Exactly. Well, yeah, I can understand that. For example, we can pass one variable as normal, another as named, and we can also probably pass them in different orders if they are named, stuff like that. But do we really need it? Like, if you're anticipating that there would be many variables, then it is either a vararg function or use an associative array.
After more than 20 years with PHP, I think PHP lived pretty well without this. But then people say, "Oh, why can't we have nice things?"
True. I don't know where we draw the line, but yeah.
Exactly. And how much bloated can we make the language? Well, it is already over bloated, but so It's not one more thing. It's just one more thing that will complicate the matters of people developing PHP IDEs, because they also have to update their parsers to handle this new syntax.
Yeah,
other tools that process PHP code. Sorry.
In the email thread, I think it was specifically mentioned that one of the reasons that why this RFC was dropped, because there is a really big grunt work to check the paranames of all the existing functions and stuff like that. So lots of code needs to be modified and redone, and that's why it was kind of.
And after all, there are more important things that PHP probably misses, and we don't have those things like async and await. And well, but we have Facebook hack that supports those things, just in case you miss async and await. Or you could move on to ECMAScript 6 and have it. Well, next topic, it's yet another one of those discussions that, why don't PHP is like some other language? In this case, I think the target is JavaScript, that allows end of line to be considered the end of a command. So you wouldn't need to type the semicolon, because it's very exhausting to type a semicolon at the end of every command. And we don't have much time to type semicolons. Well, basically the proposal here is to consider end of line as the end of command. This, well, this is basically to make it like JavaScript, as I said, but I don't know, is this really an advantage? Won't it cause more confusion, like introducing bugs that probably would go unnoticed?
Exactly, as it is possible to do in JavaScript not to end line with the semicolon, because line end also mean that the operator ends and stuff like that. I sleep better if I end all my statements with semicolon. I just sleep better. I don't know, because you really can have so many different bugs there.
After all those linked programs for JavaScript always tell you put those damn semicolons.
Yes.
Exactly. So your code does not become ambiguous. So basically, they are admitting that they made a mistake in design of a language to not allow lines to not end with a semicolon. So they are because they don't want to break backwards compatibility, but PHP people want to have the complication in the language. Okay. Anyway, moving on to the next topic. Now, something that is more, I would say, interesting, because this is a concrete part of a concrete plan to release PHP 7.2, I think more towards the end of the year, but first there will be alpha releases, specifically for early June. And I think they are quite on schedule, because most of the things that have been planned are more or less well defined. They are just preparing to elect the release managers, basically those brave people that will take care of all the headaches to make everything work and verify that all tests are in place, to make sure that when PHP 7.2 is finally released to the public, it won't have as much issues as probably past releases that when you publish a new version, all of a sudden all the bugs appear, and that somehow holds people back to adopt the new version right away. Anyway, they are just discussing who is going to be elected.
Do you want to candidate?
No.
Why not?
because I have better things to do in life. And after all, I think those people do not like me because I'm very sincere. And while I make some comments, some people take criticisms personally. So, but this is not new. It's not just a specific thing with me. It's a thing with politics, dealing with disagreements, and I think I moved away from participating in pitch internals like 2002 because the discussions were getting very heavy, very personal, and it does not justify the time that you put into it. So rather than just go there and spend a lot of time arguing with all these people, better just try to do something useful, which is to comment on what is coming, because not everybody has the knowledge nor the time to keep up with the internal development. And at least here we are talking about what is coming. I don't think there is any other PHP podcast that covers these specific things. Then you have visiting podcasts.
Now you gave out our secret. Now everyone will do that.
No, I don't think, because for some these kind of topics are boring. Because they are too low level. They are not about the cool things, the frameworks, the what I would say, those design patterns, those standard recommendations, and those things. So I don't think not everybody wants to follow these things, and to be quite honest, this is requires a bit of work of research. Every month I go on the internals list to try to find from those tens of topics that appear there which are the relevant ones. Maybe I missed some. Maybe we cover too much that probably is not so relevant. But at least we try to share something useful about what is coming in PHP. That's why it is called Lately in PHP. Okay, anyway.
And I always thought it was meant because I have a late night already when we're recording.
That too. That's not lately, that's very late in PHP. We can assure that it will always be delayed. It will always not be on schedule. And I'm not trying to give an excuse, but it's quite a challenge, even when we have all the time we need, trying to deal with recordings and broadcastings and dealing with the functions that Google changes every month in the Hangout thing. It's not easy. Anyway, let's move on towards the end of this podcast. One last topic specific to PHP development is about directory separators on Windows. It seems there is some kind of issue on Windows. I'm not a Windows user. I'm not even sure if this is really an /issue. But what happens that on Windows, it can take both forward slash and backwards slash as directory path separators, right?
Yeah.
So I think they are considering to just drop the backwards separator.
That was exactly the problem. Windows kind of accepts both backwards and forward slash, but Linux only accepts forward slashes, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So when they exported file on Windows, for some reason it used backslashes for paths, and then you can't import it on Linux anymore because it has backslashes. But Windows could have worked with both of them, with backward and forward slashes. So why would not use forward by default on Windows too?
Yeah, I see the point, but would it solve the problem completely? Because it's not just that; it's the root the root of a file system is usually a drive on Windows.
Yeah.
And
true.
While on Linux you only have one root, even if you have multiple file systems.
Yeah,
on
true.
Windows you have drives, so I don't think it will completely solve the problem. Maybe they are thinking about relative paths. If it is just relative paths, putting all with forward slashes, we make it the same on both platforms. But I don't know. Again, I didn't have the time nor the patience to go through all the discussions, but there are like 30 people discussing this topic. It kind of stopped, but it was still many messages. Well, if there are any changes regarding this, probably we'll have an RFC that we can come back to this later. Okay, now moving on to a topic that is a bit different because this is not about PHP internals. This is more about something that has been implemented. It is not quite visible on PHP classes because this is mainly a plan. And what happens is that for the last months, I've been developing a SEO tool, a search engine optimization tool that will allow me to get suggestions to improve, optimize your content. For instance, you have published a package or a blog article about the package, or it could be some other type of page. And it is getting search traffic for certain keywords from Google. But there are keywords that would bring you more traffic because there are more people searching for them on Google. So the idea is to suggest improvements, like maybe you can replace or add the keywords that you use on your pages, your package pages, or your blog articles, so they can attract more traffic. And this somehow has been working well. Not extraordinary well, but well enough to make me write an article and let you know that for now, this is something that I'm doing myself manually, but probably in the future, you will be able to, as an author of packages, you'll be able to get those suggestions and improve your content by yourself. Because sometimes the suggestions that the tool gives is, oh, add a section to your article about this topic that is related with the topic that you covered in the article. You are already getting traffic for that topic, but your page, your content could improve it better. To make it better, somehow to return more, have more traffic, more users, more feedback to your packages from users that are searching for them in Google. So for now, this doesn't change anything for authors, but I have been doing myself like daily. I optimize some articles or some packages to probably improve titles or other type of content. And you can hopefully get more traffic. There is a video here.
But that can't be really automized that it would automatically generate titles. The user still need to check grammar and validation, stuff like that, right? If
Exactly.
title makes sense at all.
Yeah, yes, exactly. This is just to suggest keywords that you can include in your package titles, for instance.
Not only keywords, but also phrases.
Yes, well, keywords, I don't mean individual words. I mean keywords as could be compound keywords made of several words. If you go to a package page, let me give you an example. Here, for instance, this. This is the what a package of OAuth client. It must open, and you can go on edit. Now you have a prefix field that you can prepend to the actual title of a package. If you feel that you can prepend some keywords to make it target better, some searches, you can define this prefix, and the title of the pages will include that prefix. This may not always work well, because if you are using keyword stuffing, like repeating keywords, Google may actually diminish your traffic for those keywords. So this has to be done carefully. But now you know that you can improve this prefix. So if for some reason you see that the site sent you a message because your prefix of a package was changed, it was because I have used this tool and determined that it would be a good idea to improve. But as you said, this is not automatic. This is just the tool giving suggestions, and then I decide if it is a good idea or not. Over time, the tool will become better to actually give suggestions that make sense. So all this is what we call business intelligence. It is not, when I say business intelligence, it doesn't mean we are talking about making money. We're talking about using some intelligence, learning from data, opportunities to improve some metrics. Those metrics could be related with business or not, just the generic name, business intelligence. And this uses basically data mining, which is to analyze the traffic that you get from Google, and then you can improve the traffic with the suggestions that result from the analysis of that data. There is a video here. I'm not going to play it now. You can play it later when you watch this hangout. It explains what is the tool so far. This is not the final version of the tool. This is actually a prototype that is being improved on a daily basis to match better what the users are expecting, what they understand. But okay, this is just to give you an idea that for now, this thing exists, although it's not yet accessible to authors of packages, but my intention is to make it accessible later. Also, this tool will be available. It will be a commercial tool. It is part of a broader project that I explained here, which is to teach developers how to create their own software product businesses using things that I teach. And this project is part of demonstrating how to apply the methods in practice. So this is not just a matter of the technical side of things, but also the business side of creating products that people want, and they will be able to buy later. So this tool is something that I'm developing as a real business, and soon you'll be able to have access this tool to optimize your own sites. It's not just for PHP classes. PHP classes is just something that I'm using to apply the tool in practice. Anyway, if you are interested, there is a demo video here, and there is also a Facebook group for PHP classes contributors and fans where that you can join, and where I'll be announcing these things, these developments that can benefit somehow the authors and users of PHP classes with this and other features. Okay, I don't know if you have any question, because we're being very quiet.
No, I just was thinking about the name for the user. Kind of like it. Interesting idea.
Oh yeah, this is yet another one. No, those things that I've been thinking a lot. But just now, because you asked, for the user is like for, not for in the number, but for the user. So
yeah,
this
I
is to
got it.
make pages better for the users, not for the search engines, because that's what Google has been preaching to all webmasters to do not focus on search engine algorithms, focus on making it better for the users, because if Google, you will eventually value more what you do for the users. So the idea of this tool is to help you make it better make your sites better for the users. Okay, now moving on to one final topic. It is basically an article that I have written myself on OpenID Connect. OpenID Connect. OpenID is actually a protocol for implementing what you call single sign-on. Well, like you see many sites, like for instance Google. Google has different products in different domains. You can use a single Google account to access all those products. So they use, I'm not sure if it is exactly OpenID, but it's probably something similar. But with OpenID, which is, yeah, I'm not sure. With OpenID, you can implement what they call single sign-on. For instance, when you log in PHP classes, you are redirected to a site called iContem accounts, which basically share all the accounts information. So you can also log in, for instance, in JS classes. So you do not have to create a new account. You just use a similar account. So it is a similar concept. But OpenID as a protocol, it is more complicated. So they started using OAuth for implementing single sign-on. OAuth is a protocol for accessing APIs. And when you obtain the authorization to access an API on behalf of the user, you get a token. And that token allows you to make API calls on behalf of that user. But usually it is a two-step process. Like first you obtain the token, then you make the API calls. But thanks to some extensions in OAuth 2 protocol, it is possible that when you call, you make an OpenID Connect integration, you already get the details of the user profile. So you don't have to make an additional API call to obtain, for instance, the username, the user email. So it will eventually make it faster. That is why the article is called Faster PHP Social Login with a PHP OpenID Connect PHP client. So
sounds like an optimized title.
This is it. Yes, exactly. Well, that's a good example of what we mentioned before. And yes, it is true that the tool was used like some time after the article was published with insights to improve the not only the titles but also these headers, these H2 headers that separate the different sections of the article. Ultimately, now that you mentioned, ultimately it will make the actual article better, because when you improve these titles, you make it more explicit what each section is about for the users. And often the users do not want to read the whole article. They just come here and read these contents entries to learn what is the article about. So if they want to know, oh, I just want to download. Oh, there is the download here. Download the PHP OAuth library to benefit from the OpenID Connect PHP client. Okay, you go there, and there is the download instructions, or installing with the composer, or whatever you want to use. If you want to read the actual steps, you can go to the other sections. So basically, this is it. I don't know if you also have any questions this time.
So OpenID does not use OAuth, but OpenID Connect is something that is based on both OpenID and OAuth, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, what they realized that OpenID 1 and OpenID 2 were too complicated, were very limited. I have problems because sometimes it's based on redirecting the mains from the main site to the site accounts, and then the URLs become too long because it passes the parameters in the URLs, and some browsers and proxies truncate the parameters when they become too long, and sometimes I have issues with that. So OpenID Connect, it is better. And after you get the token, you can also do other API calls you may need. But if you only need, for instance, the user name or the user email, you just can get it immediately from the protocol. So this PHP client class, OAuth client class that I have been developing for the latest years already extracts the OpenID Connect parameters that are returned with the response for the OAuth token. I don't know if this is understandable because it has many technical nuances. And from what I have learned, most people do not want to understand the technical aspects.
Yeah, just give me the class.
Yes, and I don't want to know exactly. I don't want to know either. But I developed the class in such a way that is a single piece of code. It's a single class, not bazillions of classes and subclasses. There is a configuration file that configures the class to adapt to the different OS servers. It has many workarounds because they are not very consistent. They have issues that, well, you don't want to know. It's crazy. It's crazy. And despite there is this standard, there are interpretations of the standard, and you don't want to know. It's crazy. It should have been a simple thing, but it isn't. And sometimes people say, "Oh, thank you very much for this class," because I have one example script for each type of server that it supports. And sometimes the differences are minimal in the script, but internally the configuration of the class makes it kind of magic. You don't have to deal with the differences. I don't know, you develop things in JavaScript. Are the OAuth clients that exist for JavaScript?
Probably need to check the npm
like
or Node.js.
Abstract. Because what I have seen even in PHP is people like do one base class and then they have like subclasses or adapter classes to pick the nuances. I don't have that because people don't want to have to write code to adapt to a new OAuth server. I don't want to do that. So I added the workarounds in the main class, and then I pick the configuration to figure what workaround I have to implement. And it's crazy because OAuth is practically impossible to test because it depends on the server response. You cannot mock a Google server because if they change something on the server, if you implement mock classes, you don't know if the servers change something, the mock class replicates the differences. So it's one of those cases that tests wouldn't help. You can test some aspects, but most of the things are not testable, and those are the important things. Okay, now we are here talking about the latest JavaScript and PHP Innovation Award winners. This time we will be talking about the nominees and winners of January 2017. We already are commenting on the first of the year. So this month something different happened because I implemented a new feature that allows me as moderator to find out eventually packages that are not submitted by the authors, but they have somehow put it in GitHub, and this was implemented like in January, and I was trying this feature and sent lots of invitations to authors to help me to test that feature. So we had like 5 in JS classes, which is not much, but it's about a good number. But we had like 22 in PHP classes. As penalty for us this month, and I'd like to appreciate once again Artus for sharing me this. Well, it's not
penalty.
It's not a penalty. It's always great to comment on great packages because they were actually great packages nominated. So let's start first with JavaScript ones. Let me go back here, share the screen. As I mentioned, there are like 5. If I find the share button, this is so from here. It works. Okay. So as you may see, there are like 5. So which ones would you like to comment, Arthur?
Yes. Oh, I have a English screen now.
Yes, I removed the parameter, so you don't have to see compartillar.
But I liked it.
Yeah.
Okay. The first package is jQuery Benchmark tool, developed by Emil Kilage from Sweden. And basically, it measures the time it takes to execute the JavaScript code. If we can look at examples, then I think it would look something like this. Interesting. So basically, you provide the callback function which executes something. And yeah, it could be useful to finding out, for example, the fastest way to iterate an array or merge multiple arrays or stuff like that, because in languages it can be tricky that some native methods are fast, some slow, and vice versa. There is not much more info or example how does the result look like. I assume there is some visualization or something like that.
No.
No.
I think if you go there, you can see. Let me open here the screen instead of guessing, because there are many packages being developed. This one was nominated. Well, this is where we have many packages doing this because it's really basic. But in PHP, not many in JavaScript, but it's a plugin that helps you to test this. So I assume, if I remember this correctly, that it will probably display this in an element or not. Well, I don't remember, which is good, because this was like 3 months ago it was published.
Yeah, but also console output is also okay.
Yes. Okay. So this one.
You can also provide a function for outputting too. Yeah, and it was the winner actually. Yeah, and not picking prizes.
Not picking prizes. Let me remember.
It was
Oh,
a lot
because
of time.
well, Sometimes I don't know what happened because how I remember there was an issue that delayed delivery of prizes like from O'Reilly and Peck, but it's now solved. I have to get back to those authors that pick those prizes.
Yeah, it was great from me to remind you that.
It's like something that was sorted this week. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but you are right. I have to get back to that because I'm lost.
Okay, and
anyway.
The next, yeah, do you want to comment on the first one before anything to add?
No, that's fine.
Okay, and the next one is JavaScript color mixer that allows you to that basically generates a color editing tool. So you can generate a color using RGB or HSV formats, and it was developed by Martin Latter from United Kingdom, and it even has a nice example, something like that. So if you see, you can adjust the color and get the result here. So you can edit color in RGB or edit color in HSV, and you would get a result. I really not like the effect that while you're dragging these, those values are also changing, so you could also actually see the dependencies between them.
Yeah,
I could play with it.
it's nice. You could use that as a widget in your applications.
Yeah. And
okay, it's my turn, right?
Yeah. Yep.
If I can share the screen here, let me do this quickly because we have bazillions of packages to comment. And next month it will be a smaller bazillion, but it's still a bazillion. But okay. The following month we will be more or less back to normal. So the first package that I want to comment is JavaScript Ajaxify push state. This is a package developed by a frequent developer, contributor, Martin Barker from the United Kingdom. He developed a package that does something interesting. Actually, I've seen this done for PHP packages, but this one is more like to do it from JavaScript, which is to replace the links to certain pages with AJAX calls, and then you replace the contents of sections of your page that will be updated depending on the link that you click. So this is a nice package. And I remember that Martin already picked the prize. It's probably one pack book or one O'Reilly book. I just don't remember, but I need to check. Okay, next package that I want to comment is widget CLI, which is interesting. This one is from Till Wiowski. He has been developing a few great packages. And this one is to implement a sort of a shell prompt that allows you to implement a command line interface, and it will send the AJAX requests that will be handled on the server side by some code that is called via AJAX. The next package that I want to comment is from Toloprod, the name of the author. I think it's Tom Loprod. I'm not sure if this is a name or is some alias. But anyway, it implements modal windows that are created but without using jQuery or some other framework. It's very simple but very useful, and since it doesn't depend on jQuery, thumbs up for Tom. I guess nowadays people are getting the sense that jQuery is not as necessary as in the past. So this is a good thing. And then with this, we cover all the nominees of January. So we are going to take a look at the rankings of 2017, considering already the February nominees. So in first place, we have Martin Barker with 2 packages and 9 points, followed by Emil Kilas from Sweden with 2 packages and 8 points. Then Martin Latter, also from the United Kingdom, like Martin Barker. So 2 Martins from the United Kingdom, and Martin Latter has 1 package and 5 points. Then comes Jeremy Judo with a French name, but from China, with 1 package and 3 points, tied with Anders Toth from Hungary. Anders was the winner of last year. And they have 1 package and 3 points. Then in 6th place, you come Till Wiwowski from Germany and Tom Loprod from Spain with 1 package and 2 points. So this is the ranking by author, and by country. You have United Kingdom ahead with 3 packages and 14 points, followed by Sweden with 2 packages and 8 points. Then China 1 package and 3 points, tied with Hungary with also 1 package and 3 points. Germany and Spain in 5th with 1 package and 2 points. So basically, it's almost a mapping between authors and countries, except for United Kingdom that has 2 authors. But JavaScript Innovation Award was not always so participated. So this almost always happened. So now we are going to move on to the Innovation Award winners of January, and this comes the challenging part, which is to comment on all of those 22 packages. So we better start quickly and maybe not spend so much covering each one of those, but
yeah, a little briefly.
Yeah, I think we can do something quickly.
Yeah,
more or less.
I'm just wondering that the 22 packages, it means that the first packages got lots of points actually, and could put their countries ahead.
Yes, that too. It's a consequence. It's a bit different the way that the ranking is formed compared to some other types of championships, but it is a way to reward authors that won in months when there were more competitors.
Yeah, makes sense. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. And the first package is PHP GitHub API client developed by Nahid bin Azhar from Bangladesh. And basically, this package can authenticate you with GitHub using OAuth and send API requests to perform different tasks and operations with user accounts and repositories. And Nahid got 1 big PHP and Flash mascot. Yes, that's usually the first prize people take.
Yes, and he's actually very happy. I think we have pictures of him already.
Yeah, I think I saw in Facebook or something.
Yes, and it seems that the prize was very well received. Let me try to find here because it was last month, but many people celebrated in his country. Let me try to find the picture.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because I think for them it's not usual, and sometimes people are have many friends there, and I don't know. It's not videos. How do I find this post?
Okay. Maybe let me comment further and then we can get back. Or
yeah, you can move on while I try to find the picture.
Yeah. Okay. And the next package is php.ini, or how it's pronounced, settings, developed by Christian Wee from France. And yeah, I think there were previously PHP, ini parsers and modifiers and stuff like that. I think why this one is special because it also have configuration type validation based on configurations file and CSV format that again additionally provides, so you can validate, so you can always set specific setting as boolean and not something else and stuff like that. We can probably check an example. I don't know if it loads. It doesn't load for me now. But yeah, and oh, now it loaded.
Yeah.
There is no example of the validation here, I think. Your files. Just wanted to see the configuration file. Oh, here we can see something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems to be really slow for me too today. Don't know why.
Sorry, what do you mean?
Seems to be really slow connection for me too today.
Oh, I thought it was my hand. Well,
oh, that's a lot.
Well, this
Okay.
is the different thing of this package is mostly that it can also validate the types of values.
Yeah,
So
that's what I mentioned. And I think that Christian did not pick a price as usually he does it for the competition.
No. He said he has already all of the prizes, so he's having great.
Okay. Exactly.
And it's true because he won so many times. He's not the only one, but it's where he's continued to send great packages. And I think that's all fine. That means he is having fun just sending those packages.
Okay, and the next one is PHP Joomla login. So it was developed by Hasib Ahmad Basil from Pakistan, and it provides a file, PHP file that you need to put in your Joomla installation directory that would authenticate you, and then you can send it HTTP request to this file, to this script, providing user authentication information like username and password. So it would authenticate you, and you can access remotely Joomla without the login screen and stuff like that. And Hasib got one downloadable copy of Code Lobster Professional for this package.
Here, let me start from the first, which would be one from Luciano Salvini. No, Luciano.
Luciano
Salvino.
Oh, it had a different name there.
Yeah, it's a cached version. I think I need to invalidate the cache when people change their names. Okay, one more bug to fix. Anyway, this package is for editing subtitles, and those subtitles of videos. As you may know or not, there are file formats for storing these subtitles in files. They can be somehow integrated in the video stream, but I think usually they are separate files. And they contain things like the text and the timeline position that each text appears. And there are several formats, and this package allows you to edit files in those formats. So this is an interesting package for this purpose. And Luciano did not reply when I asked him if he wanted a prize, so maybe he missed the message. If he's listening, you can still go back and pick one of the remaining prizes. The next package, what call it, PHP with mask generator. There are several packages for this purpose, and this one from Jaled Sebrecht from, I'm sure I not pronounce his name right, but he's from Belgium. He developed this package because it allows to do a few things differently from how the package is, like traversing bit masks with iterators, and also generate sequences of bits that you can limit the number of ones and things that are not usual, but if we develop this is because it needed something like that. The next package that I would like to comment is also Jelly did not reply to the message if you wanted to get a prize. So if he's listening, please contact back. And well, with this, we reached the end of the list of the nominees.
Whoa,
the only thing remaining is to comment on the rankings for 2017, already considering February. And so far, Christian Vig is ahead again with 239 points. He was the winner for 2016, but he's being followed by quite closely by Nahid bin Hazar from Bangladesh, and with 237 points. Then Jalab Sabrex with 235 points from Belgium. Asif Ahmad Basil from Pakistan with 1 package and 21 points is tied with Peter Khal from Hong Kong. Gavin Gordon Markowski from Canada. Alessandro Quintiliano from Italy. Shaz Acharya from Australia are all tied in 4th place with 1 package and 21 points. And then Dave Smith with 1 package and 17 points from the United States is tied with Sergey Van Yushin from Russia with 2 packs and 17 points. By country, things almost map to the winners, but not like in JS classes, because there we have many more authors from different countries. So France is first with 4 packages and 58 points, but is followed by United States with 3 packages and 43 points. And it seems the competition between France and the United States is continuing in 2017. I hope other countries also come closer to make this competition more fun. But somehow it repeats what happened last year. Let's see what happens this year. We are still very far from the end. Lots of things can happen. So moving on, Bangladesh is third with 2 packages and 37 points. Italy is in 4th with 2 packages and 35 points. Pakistan in 5th with 2 packages and 29 points. Belgium is in 6th with 2 packages and 25 points. Australia, Hong Kong, and Canada are tied with 1 package and 21 points in 7th position. And finally, United Kingdom is in 10th with 2 packages and 19 points. Anyway, well, basically we reached the end of this podcast hangout. I'd like to thank you again, Arthurs, for coming, having the patience to go through the PHP internals, despite you are not using PHP for how many years?
Couple.
Yeah. So, but maybe you'll get back, or not. Anyway, we ended this podcast now. We will still record the Innovation Award podcast. Unfortunately, from now on, the Lighting JavaScript podcast will no longer be recorded because it's too much work, and for me and also for Arthurs to edit the podcasts, to research the topics, and I'm buried. I have lots of things to do regarding all these projects I've been commenting. Maybe we can get back to it in the future, but for now it's not helping. But talking about PHP is, I think, once a month is already great, and I hope this hangout is being useful to everybody that is bothering to watch us for all this time. And well, with this we end here. So on my behalf, that is all for now. Bye.
Bye.